Hey, hello everyone. Today is June. It's my favorite, most favorite month of the year. I love from April 1st to August 1st because I love spring when everything comes alive. I love the flowers. I love everything in bloom. And I love summertime, summertime more than anything. I love picnics in the park. I love concerts in the park. I love festivals in the park. I love going swimming with my grandkids now. I used to love to water ski. I used to love everything about water. I used to be a beach bum. I love the beach. I love the water. I love springtime. I love summertime. I love carnivals and festivals and music in the summertime. And then sitting under the stars at night and a warm but cool summer night after a long, warm summer day, and I love nothing more. But one thing that I do love is to have a cause. Um, because there are people who did not have a voice in their lifetime. I felt like for many, many years I didn't have a voice for certain reasons that I won't talk about in this podcast, but I will get to. But just because it was Memorial Day, and because I have a good friend who passed away a month ago from Lyme disease, I have a cause to spread awareness of Lyme disease. And this is why. Because when I was living in Mississippi and Louisiana 34 years ago, maybe, I was vital, I was vibrant, I was a hard worker, I was a missionary at the time, but before that, I loved being youthful. I was very goal oriented. I was very motivated to achieve my goals. I was a perfectionist. I was going to travel the world. I worked so hard. I bought the car that I wanted. I had a savings account. I just felt really good about my life and what I was doing and what I was accomplishing. Even though I was a quiet person, I still didn't feel like I had a voice. Except for I had my piano, and so I voiced what I felt in here and in here in my music, in the words that I wrote in my songs. And even some of my songs don't have lyrics, but you can tell what's coming from my heart just by listening to the song. I can tell instantly when a song comes on the radio or when I listen to my favorite playlist. I can tell instantly what this song is going to make me feel like, what the mood is about, what it's about, just because of how it's written. That's been my voice for many years. But because I was bitten by chiggers, most people think that you get Lyme disease by a tick, which is true. But a lot of people don't see the bullseye's rash because it's not always a tick that gives you the Lyme. It can be a spider, it can be a biting fly, like a horsefly, it can be a mosquito, and it can be chiggers. Guess what? I got Lyme disease from chiggers. While I was serving a mission for the Lord, of all things. You would think that he would bless me instead of curse me, which it feels like a curse sometimes. But I haven't always had a voice for Lyme disease because I've had a lot of people not believe me. I've had doctors literally tell me to my face that does not exist. You're psychosomatic. When I was having traumatic, there's several different strains of the Lyme bacteria. One of the strains can cause seizures. A lot of people don't know that. That's why I'm sharing this as information. I had seizures. They were terrifying. But not only were they terrifying because I didn't know when they were going to come on. I didn't know how long they were going to last. I was worried I'd be in church or I'd be in the car or I'd be somewhere and one would come on. I had no control over it. Hello, who can control a seizure? But first of all, who can make a seizure up? I don't know how to make a seizure up, but I had them every single day for about 2 years, and they were terrifying, they were traumatic, and they were exhausting. They were completely exhausting, and they made me hurt worse. I had a lot of pain. I have a lot of pain caused by the Lyme disease that people don't realize. We have a lot of pain. There's a certain type of rheumatoid arthritis that's caused by the Lyme bacteria, and it's worse than just normal rheumatoid arthritis, and you can't take the medications because you're allergic to them. Because when you have Lyme disease, guess what? you're almost allergic to everything on the planet. And so you can eat about 5 things. I sit on the grass for about 2 minutes and I start itching and have to come back in, even though I love being outside in the summertime. I didn't always used to be allergic to the grass and trees and pollen and food and um, perfume and so many things that we can be allergic to. But see, we don't have a voice and people don't take us seriously because they don't believe us, because doctors have told people for years that it's not true, it's not real. They were taught that in school. And it's because the CDC has covered it up, because guess what? It's man-made. Do you know how Lyme disease came about? Um, German scientists were hired to create it in a lab to kill the Russian cows, and then they used it to experiment on prisoners to see what it would do to them and even see if it would kill them. And guess what? Lyme disease kills. And I can tell you this because one of my good friends died from it last month. And she went through everything that I've been through. I've been through every single thing that she went through. And we would call each other and we would cry on the phone together. We would talk for hours. And we only did this a couple of times, but I knew her through my former landlord because she was a professional violinist, but she had to quit. She was on Broadway. She worked for Donny Osmond. She worked for so many people, but couldn't do it as much in her later years because sometimes her hands wouldn't work because of the Lyme. And I knew this because I met her at the concerts through my landlords, and they told me, because they had watched her decline over the years, and so they were very kind to me and very considerate of me and my needs because they knew what their friend went through. And they let me go to their concerts. They would have a concert of professional musicians would come to their home, and they would have a concert every Christmas and every spring, and they'd invite me to come. And I got to talk to this gal. Her name was April. But we would talk about how people don't get it. You can't always see pain, and people don't know how much pain you're in. People don't know that, like she was saying, yeah, I'm going to go home tomorrow from this concert and not be able to walk and be in bed. I get it, because that's happened to me for 35 years. People see you go to church and they think, oh, she looks fine to me. So they think that you must be able to, oh, she can be the ward organist, or she can be the ward pianist, or oh, well, she can go to the park to a carnival, so she must be fine. And then the next day you literally cannot walk, or you go to the grocery store and that night you cannot walk. I cannot tell you, last week I was walking on my knees. I don't live close to any of my relatives because I moved south so I could be next to my kids and grandkids. But for Memorial Day, I did go to sit by the cemetery that's here, our local cemetery, and I sat there. And I have a hard time getting up. I have a hard time walking. I have very bad balance because of my arthritis, and because I have very bad balance anyway because of everything that's messed up in my body because of the Lyme. It attacks your central nervous system. It attacks your brain, so you have a lot of inflammation in your brain. It attacks your heart, so a lot of people have heart problems. I've had heart problems. I've been told I shouldn't be alive because of my heart problems. My heart has actually stopped before. It attacks all your organs. It attacks all your joints. My joints are swollen up. I was just telling my daughter today I'm embarrassed to go in public with short sleeves in the summer because I have no muscles left because it eats away your muscles, and then my muscles have all atrophied, and yet I have so much inflammation in my body because of the Lyme that I have these huge elbows, and it's embarrassing, and I'm self-conscious, and I've lost all my bone, and it's just very painful to walk. It's painful to go anywhere, and yet here my heart wants to go out and I want to enjoy the summer, but I can't because my body won't move. But I did go sit at the cemetery on Memorial Day. And I wanted to sit away from people because I wanted to meditate, because I'm a meditator, and I wanted to contemplate, and I wanted to pray because there's some decisions I'm trying to make right now, and there's just some hard things I'm going through right now because I can't work a normal job, so I'm trying to figure out how to pay rent, and my church won't help me right now, and it's just kind of been a mess, and I've been so frustrated and discouraged, and it's like, God, what do you expect me to do? And so I feel like I needed to voice this because my friend just died from Lyme. People die from Lyme disease, but they haven't had a voice. people who were in the war, who I sat at that cemetery and wondered who they all were, they didn't have a voice. And so I wrote this poem. So not only am I sharing in the day of the life of someone with Lyme disease, but in the day of the life of a writer, because I'm a poet. I've written 9 novels. I've written thousands and thousands of poems and stories. But I wrote this poem, Voices from the Dust, about, it was in 2016, I think. Somebody invited me to go on their TV show in California to talk about my Lyme disease and how it's affected me. I almost died, and I had to go to Mexico to get treatment. So she was trying to raise money for me. She was being cool because first of all, she was trying to raise awareness, but she was trying to raise funds for me so I could go get medically treated, because there's never doctors in the US that can treat it. All the Lyme literate doctors that I have found and researched and read up on, I found Lyme literate doctors who either treat Lyme disease or cancer. Every one of them have said that Lyme disease is more debilitating to the body than cancer is, because it attacks all of your organs, all your systems, your endocrine system, your brain. It attacks your joints. It attacks everything. That doesn't mean that cancer is not devastating, because it kills too, but I believe that it's not actually always the cancer that kills, it's the way we treat it. It's the chemo that kills. So we see a lot more people die of cancer because we know what they're dying of, because they go through chemo, they go through the treatments. Sorry, now my voice chakra is acting up because I haven't had a voice for a long time and I haven't expressed it. And so a lot of times when I try to, it acts up. So your voice chakra is in your throat, obviously. So you don't hear about people dying from Lyme disease because they don't teach about that, because first of all, it was man-made. So I didn't finish telling the story. So the scientist developed it to kill people and lame people and debilitate their prisoners. It's a weaponization. It's a bioweapon. That's what I was trying to think of. And people with Lyme disease know this. A lot of other people know this too, but they don't believe it. But there was a book written about, oh my gosh, Plum Island. So after World War II, the scientists were asked to bring, they built a lab, of all things. A lot of you may not have known this. They built a lab on an island called Plum Island near New York and Connecticut, and they continued to test Lyme disease, and guess what? They injected ticks with the bacteria. And they set these ticks loose in Lyme, Connecticut. There's a city in Connecticut called Lyme, Connecticut. That is why it is called Lyme disease. And that's why most people think, oh, you can only get that if you live in the East. And doctors will say, oh, you can only get that if you live in Connecticut. Well, guess what? It travels. Just like any other disease or bacteria or virus, it travels. And one tick bites another. One tick bites a mosquito. It travels. People travel. Things travel. People, hello. Come on. Lyme disease kills, and it infuriates me because I died from it. I died from it in 2017, and I'm yet to tell my story, but I'm going to, by golly. But first of all, I'm going to give other people a voice who died, because as I sat in that cemetery and I thought about all those people who died who didn't have a voice, not only people who've died from Lyme disease, but people who died in the Holocaust. I am so big on, me and my daughters, a few years back, we couldn't get enough information on the Holocaust, and because we couldn't believe that people could torture other people the way they did. And we had to try to make sense of it, so we read every book we could get our hands on, and everybody's stories and all the survivor stories. And I partly wrote this this poem for them too. not only people with Lyme disease, but people who died in the wars, people who died in the Holocaust who never had a chance to speak up, whose lives were never, nobody knew who they were. They didn't get a chance to say, I'm a human being. I'm a daughter or son of God. I come from deity. I have feelings. I have a life. I have emotions. I have a heart. I am a person. I'm a human being. I have a life worth living, and you took it from me. Just like Lyme disease can steal your life. Cancer can steal your life. Um, Whatever has happened that has caused people to die, Lyme disease stole my friend's life last month. And yet, nobody would blink an eye if people would go, what? If they heard that she died from Lyme disease. But I can relate to her because I've experienced everything she has, and I know what it can do to you. And so I'm giving her a voice too. But I sat in that cemetery. I wanted to sit alone by myself so I could think, because of course it was crowded. There were a lot of people there. But guess what? I couldn't stand up. I kind of went under a tree because it was a really hot day and I couldn't sit in the sun. It was too hot. So I kind of had to sit on a hill to kind of be under the shade of the tree. And then I couldn't stand up. I literally could not stand up. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm stuck. And so I got on my hands and knees and I tried to push myself up, and I couldn't because I've lost the strength in my arms and hands because I have the rheumatoid arthritis, plus I've lost all my strength. It takes your strength from you. It gives you chronic fatigue. It gives you, you have so many co-infections with all of the different strains of bacteria from the Lyme. Plus you have, it destroys your immune system. So you're fighting viruses and bacteria and fungus and mold, and oh my gosh, if you get exposed to those and go into flare up, oh my gosh. I was gonna say, so I used to have seizures. I had somebody close to me watch me have a seizure and tell me I made it up because a doctor told my family that my seizures were psychosomatic. First of all, I don't know how to make up a seizure. Second of all, they are terrifying and they are exhausting, and then I hurt worse for the next few days because it tightens up all your muscles, and I already have fibromyalgia and horrible pain because my muscles are so tight. So by God, I'm sorry, I don't mean to swear, but it almost makes me angry. I am going to share my voice, and I'm going to give these people a voice who didn't have one. I'm here for you, and I'm going to give you a voice. And so I couldn't stand up. So I had to push my purse. There was a railing about 10 feet away from me. I pushed my purse because I couldn't lift it, and I had to scoot over to the railing to put my hands on the railing and pull myself up with all my mights to stand up. I can't tell you how many times I've almost fallen because I don't have good balance, and it's so painful to walk. So painful. And people don't get that if you do go out and walk, I get home and I can't walk and I have to scoot on the floor or walk on my knees. I can't tell you the pain and the anguish of being alone in this, except for every time I go to a Lyme literate doctor. I was telling you, I had to go to a Lyme literate doctor in Mexico who his main patients, 99% of his patients are Lyme disease patients, and he also treats cancer patients. He understands and gets Lyme disease. He knows how it destroys you and can kill you if it's not under control. It killed me. It could have taken my life, but God sent me back and told me I had to share my voice. He told me I had to share my voice with those who didn't have one, and that I needed to share my love that God has for all of us as children of God through my voice, and so that you could feel his love for you. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to share this poem now called Voices from the Dust, and it's for me. It's for my friend who died last month. It's for everybody who I know suffers with Lyme disease, or is called the silent killer or the silent disease, because people stay silent because they know that people don't get it. I cannot tell you how many people I've tried to explain it to until I'm blue in the face and they don't get it. Or they'll say, oh, why don't you just do this? Or I know so-and-so that had it and they're fine. Well, sometimes if you catch it in time and get on a round of antibiotics, you can keep it from spreading through your body. But because doctors kept telling me it was all in my head, it spread through my whole body. So it was too late for me. So the destruction's already been done, and people are like, "Well, can't you kill it?" It's very almost impossible to kill Lyme bacteria because it hides in your tissues, and then it will it's like it will it will lay eggs, and then they'll rehatch over and over and over, and it travels through your body. And it's like a tornado comes through, and then you have to clean up. And even if the bacteria is gone, like even if the tornado's gone, there's still all the damage that you have to clean up. And then another one comes through again, and then another one comes through again. And people say, well, why do you live in a place where you have hurricanes? Like when I lived in Mississippi and Louisiana, people would say, why do you live here if you keep having to go through these hurricanes and just rebuild? And that's what we do. This is our home. That's what we know. So I have to keep rebuilding after the bacteria keeps re-destroying and keeps wreaking havoc and keeps destroying and is destructive over and over. I have to keep rebuilding. But I am building my voice. I'm becoming stronger and stronger. I'm giving myself a voice. But now this poem, this is for all of those of you who didn't have a voice. And this includes all of the children who are being trafficked and kidnapped and molested and sexually abused and killed and murdered. It happens. Tim Ballard, there's things that have come about him now about how he's kind of corrupt, but there is such a thing as trafficking. There is such a thing as abuse. And the people who are abused have to stay quiet. They have no voice. And my heart aches for them. So this is for you, too. I was abused in a marriage, and I didn't have a voice. And I know how hard it was to try to stand up. And every time I tried to, it's like I got slammed down again. I felt like when I got so sick before my near-death experience in 2017, I looked like I had just come out of a concentration camp because of all of the emotional impact and trauma that I went through my marriage and my divorce because of the narcissistic behavior that was geared toward me, the stalking, the badgering, the manipulation, the coercion, and then they lie about it all and they look like the good person, and I didn't have a voice. And when I tried to speak up at first, people didn't believe me, but there were plenty who did. But anyway, I looked like I came out of a concentration camp. I felt like I had come out of a concentration camp. And maybe I didn't, I wasn't in a concentration camp in Germany, but I certainly was here in my own body, in my own marriage, and in my own life. So don't you dare tell me that this hasn't affected me and that, oh, you can just buck up and, oh, you can recover from that. Just do what so-and-so did. No, don't you dare. I'm voicing what I need to voice, and I'm giving a voice to the Holocaust sufferers, to the people who died in war. I'm giving a voice to everyone who's ever been abused and hasn't felt like they could stand up for themselves. And I'm giving a voice to people with Lyme disease. Those who have died and couldn't voice their lives, everything about their lives. And I'm actually going to share two poems because I wrote one about remembering those who have died. Remember me with kindness. So the first one I'm going to share is called Voices from the Dust. So I wrote this poem back in 2016. That was right before I had my near-death experience, but it was when I was going through everything that was so chaotic and that was breaking me down and breaking me down and breaking me down, and nobody would believe me. You go into fight or flight and your metabolism goes into overdrive, and everybody was telling me, you're not sick, you're just anorexic, you just need to eat and then you'll feel better. You don't know how many times I wanted to slug somebody and tell God they need to be slapped with Lyme disease for a week or two, or for a month or two, or for a year or two. they need to walk in somebody's shoes who's experienced this, so they know what it's like, so they don't make those comments anymore. Don't do that to people, please, no matter what situation. I was not anorexic. I was extremely traumatized. I was shut down. I was abused. And I was in fight or flight. I was losing weight, and it scared me to death. I wasn't trying to lose weight. And it's because my body was shutting down from all the trauma, because of the Lyme disease and the abuse. So, here is my voice for you, for all of you who didn't have one. I'm going to have to take these off so I can see. Can you hear our whispers? We cry to you at night. Our lives may be forgotten, but our souls still shine our light. We're with you everywhere. We listen as you pray. Please hear us in return. We have so much to say. Our voices linger in the wind. They settle in the dust. Our unheard cries have not been shared, but we know in you we can trust. You see, we need a voice. Our stories must be heard. Don't pass them off as not. You must tell every word. Lost and forgotten, unbelieved and shamed, we have been overlooked. Please give us a name. Our pain has been tremendous, unsurmountable to bear. Look at us now. Please see us and show us that you care. Choose to listen with compassion as you try to understand, so our echoes won't be hollow. Please extend a helping hand. Give hope to those who suffer, relief to those who need. Assure them with your heart. We will guide if you will heed. Then our lives will not have felt like they were lived in vain. A reason and a purpose is what others now have to gain. Yes, in the night they call to us, their voices in the dust. They'll come to us because they'll know we're someone they can trust. So God sent me back because he knew he was somebody he could trust to share their voices. And that's what I'm doing. I'm giving them a name. I'm giving them a voice. I'm giving them a life. They had a life. They had pain just like we do. They had so many obstacles to bear, and it was all in silence. They suffered in silence. Somebody gave me a voice to share my experience back in 2016, and I was so grateful. I actually got off the phone with her and I laid on my floor and I cried because I was like, finally somebody heard me. God, thank you. Finally somebody, it's like God finally gave me a chance to tell my story. And I cried and said, God, you know what? I'm getting time mixed up because it was after he spared my life. And I said to him, you spared my life, so I'm going to give you my life and I'm going to testify of you the rest of my life. And then I decided I was going to be a tramp for the Lord because somebody, one of my friends from high school that I've stayed in touch with, she gave me a book about Corrie ten Boom and her life. She's the one that wrote The Hiding Place. So she hid Jews, her and her father and her sister Betsy. They hid Jews in their home and they were caught. So they were put in Auschwitz. Their father was put in a different camp and he died. Corrie ten Boom and her sister Betsy were put in Auschwitz, and Betsy died. She became too ill and she died. And Corrie was set free by a miracle because somebody got the number on her arm mixed up. And so she told God, because you set me free, I will spend the rest of my life testifying for you that there is a God. Because she said one night Jesus came to her and Betsy, and she lost her home, she lost her family, she lost her income, she had nothing. And she spent the rest of her life, just like she told God and committed to him, traveling the world She didn't have money. She didn't know where it was going to come from. But she traveled the world telling her story of how she had to forgive. And at one of the places where she shared the story, one of the guards, who was one of the most cruel guards, came up and wanted to shake her hand and ask forgiveness. And she said she had the hardest time, but she knew she had to. So she shook his hand and she forgave him. And that's another message that she shared, was forgiveness. So I told God, you spared my life. So I want to spend the rest of my life being a Corrie ten Boom, a tramp for the Lord. And guess what? Don't always tell the Lord what you want, because sometimes you will get what you ask for. I lost my home. I lost my family for a time in a way. I lost all my income. I lost my health. And I have moved 11 times in the last 11 years. Not because I did something wrong, but it's because I told the Lord that I would testify of him, because you spared my life. Even though I have been so misunderstood at times. Even though it has been the loneliest place to be. Until you go to one of those clinics where people who are just like you are suffering just like you. And you create an instant bond that will never be broken. Just like I did with my friend who passed away. It hasn't been a fun life being a tramp for the Lord. You know, I'd love to have a home. But it's because I didn't dare stand up for myself. And so I lost my home because of coercion and manipulation and lies. And I was too weak to stand up. And people don't know the whole story. But I did tell God I'd be a tramp for the Lord. And it's not fun moving from place to place. And I don't know where my next paycheck's going to come from, because I don't have the strength to work a normal job. I've been blessed with miracles, though. And Corrie talks about that in her book, how miracle after miracle, when she didn't know where the money was going to come from. And then it would come. A check would show up. She didn't know where she was going to be staying for the night. And then she would be blessed with a room just randomly. Read the book. Read the book. Because in all of our suffering, God is there. And the miracles are there. And they do come, even though this path is hard. This life of being a tramp for the Lord is hard. But when we dedicate our lives and ourselves to God, He will dedicate Himself to us. And miracles will open up and they will happen. It's not fun. And I have that trauma every day of being in survival mode, of not knowing how I'm going to make it. Especially when people don't understand what I'm going through and why I can't work. But that's why I'm given a voice. That's why I read that poem. That's why I'm being a tramp for the Lord, because Corrie ten Boom is my hero. And so is her sister Betsy. And I also thought of her when I wrote this poem, Voices from the Dust, because she didn't have a voice. But bear with me, because I'm going to share another poem. And then I'm going to end this podcast. But the other poem is Remember Me with Kindness, because I want to end on a good note, on an uplifting note. Okay, if I can think good enough. Remember me with kindness. This I wrote for my ancestors who died and are on the other side. It's so important to honor those who have gone before us. Yes, there are trauma bonds and there are negative patterns that get passed down, and there are those of us who are called to break them, but we have such beautiful family heritage, and we need to know the people that came before us and what they sacrificed for us. And so I wrote this poem for Memorial Day one year as a tribute also to all of my ancestors who have gone before me, so that we can remember them. And so by dang, I'm going to share this poem too, since it was just Memorial Day. And then I'm going to end. But this is called Remember me with kindness. You know what? My grandmothers were with me when I had my near-death experience, and there's one especially that is always with me, and I just felt her come. I just felt more than one come. I'm sorry, excuse me. But here's my tribute to them, to those beloved ones who went before us, who are with us now still, and who come to us. Just reach out to them and talk to them. This was also written in 2016, and it was dedicated to my great aunt Ellen Anna Lovisa Sotogren and all those who have gone before us and are with us still. Because they are there. I met some of them during my visit to the other side, and they love us just like God does, and I want you to feel their love. Remember me with kindness. Remember me with kindness. Remember me with love. When you say your prayers tonight, think of me above. Be gentle when you speak of me. Calmly call my name. The echoes of eternity will whisper once again where I came from, who I was, how I lived my life. Do you remember my sweet stories of my good times and my strife? If you try to think of me, then I will come your way. I'll move the heavens and the earth for you. I'll shake the ground today. So the way will open up for you, so you can clearly see that you can call down angels to help your darkness flee. You will find your purpose as you look toward the sun. You'll walk and not be weary as you push to overcome the hills that look like mountains. You can reach the top with me. Then together we will soar. Together we'll be free. All the pain you feel I've felt. Reach deeper to the past. You will feel belonging as you sense your place at last. Give honor to my name, and God will honor you. Remember me with kindness, for I remember you. They remember us. We need to remember them. We need to learn about their lives. Just like we want people to know about our lives. I feel like I've been so alone for so long without a voice. It's like, do my kids even know what I was like when I was growing up? Do they know my favorite movie? Do they know, did they know any of my friends? Did they know what I liked to do growing up? I don't even know. My dad loves to tell stories, and bless his heart, he's put all of his family history together. He's told them so many times that sometimes my siblings will be like, Dad, please, you told that story 20 times. But we need to remember those who went before us and honor them, because they honor us. Every time I need them, I call on angels and they come. Not every time, but all the times I need them, I feel them come. They honor us if we honor them. And one day we will make it to that summit with them, and we will soar when we're no longer in these crippled bodies that won't even walk, let alone soar. They're going to be on the mountaintops with us, and we're going to be rejoicing and shouting for joy. Hallelujah, thank the Lord. But remember them with kindness, because their lives were worth remembering. Just like your life is worth remembering. Just like my life is worth remembering. Just like my friend's life was worth remembering, and everybody that we honored last week. We all have a name. God loves us all. He loves me and he loves you. And I'm going to end with that because I've gone on long, but I needed to say all of that. So thank you for letting me have a voice to honor those without a voice, voices from the dust, and to honor those who we need to remember with kindness. Have a beautiful day and honor yourself. Honor yourself so that your children and your posterity will honor you and the life that you have lived. And write it down. And if you can't write it down, then do a podcast or a vlog. I don't even know what they're called. I'm just sharing because I've kept it in too long. Write it down so they'll know what your favorite color was. They'll know what your favorite movie was. They'll know what your favorite time of year was. They'll know the things you love to do. Write it down or speak it out loud. Use your voice. You have a voice. Use it today. That's my challenge to you. I love you. God loves you. Remember that. Bye.